with you. How we doing? 1 second here, guys. We'll be live. Let's hit it. Let's hit it. Oh, what's up, everybody? Welcome to Coffee with a Killer. We are brand new to doing this on YouTube. I've been doing this call for a year, and I thought it would be good to do it on YouTube. My doggone blanket out of the. This is where I take my naps. It's good to see you guys. If you guys are new, Coffee with a Killer, what I do is I try to give some insight to the business world, the trading world, just from my past, 13 years of experience being self-employed. I've not had a job. I've not taken orders from anybody in well over a year. I started with real estate. I did well in that. I did alternative assets. I did DeFi, the whole gig. And now, currently running Black Gold trading, running different masterminds, and even started a hedge fund. So when I say I want to jump in and like impart some wisdom, what I want to do is I want to share some things that I wish I would have known or I would have implemented a decade plus ago. Okay. So these are normally pretty quick, 15 minutes normally. Today it'll be very quick today because I've got all sorts of stuff to do. If you guys are jumping in, say hey. I know there we go, live stream chat. I know that the chat is a little bit slower on this side of it. Looks like we got all sorts of fun people on here. So I want to talk about regret today. By the way, do you guys like the overlay? We've got the cigar over here, Michael. The blood, the coffee, the knife. All for you guys, right? All for you guys. I want to talk about regret today. And maybe not in the way that you think. I had a dream a long time ago, and I want to share this dream with you. I don't share it a lot, but I had a dream a while ago. It was kind of in two parts. The first part was I was at an airport getting ready to fly somewhere, and this little girl comes up to me. And when I travel, I normally dress the same way. Just it's a branding thing. I normally wear my fedora, my leather jacket type of a thing. I'm pretty consistent. This girl comes up to me and she's just bawling. I'm like, oh, what's going on? And she said, because of you, my mom and dad and my family got free. And she was talking about, financial freedom. And that dream stuck with me. Like, I mean, I woke up, in tears. It stuck with me for a I'm talking about it 13 years later. It was obviously very impactful to me. So that was the first dream, or the first part of the dream. The second part of the dream was like, it's like you guys remember like the Scrooge, like the what was that Christmas movie? Michelle, maybe you know the Christmas movie where like the ghosts come and Scrooge guy. It's kind of like that. So the second part of this movie, or this dream, I should say, was it's funny because this is actually before I had kids. I am laying down. Obviously, it was very apparent to me. It was like my deathbed. I was laying on my deathbed, and my kids. Again, this is before I had kids, which is interesting. My kids said, one of my kids said, "Why didn't you try harder?" And that like broke my heart. Like, man, like everything going on in the world with what you know now, with where you're at, with what you've experienced, like, why didn't you try harder? You sure relaxed a lot, Dad. You sure took a lot of naps in the nap chair, Dad. Why didn't you teach us more? Why didn't you try harder? Why didn't you push a little bit harder? Why didn't you do a little bit more? Why didn't you teach us a little bit more? And that, like, completely wrecked me. So I had this really, really good dream, and then the second part of that dream, like, completely messed me up. So back to regret. There's very, very, very little regret that I have. But the one that sticks with me the most and the one that I am fighting against is, what am I leaving behind? What am I leaving to my kids and, the kids after? What kind of a legacy am I leaving? And am I setting them up for financial failure or financial success? You guys have got to realize that right now, the world is moving and evolving and it's changing very quickly financially. Gold at an all-time high, silver, etc. The Fed, like, there's a lot going on right now, and things are happening very quickly, and the financial landscape is changing faster than it's ever been changing in the past. Okay. By the time my kids are 2 and 5, they just turned 2 and 5 a week ago. By the time my kids are 18, 20, like, I can't even imagine what the financial landscape is going to look like. So it's not enough. Listen to me, guys. It is not enough to just say, hey, man, like, work hard. If you just work hard, everything will work out. If you just never give up, little buddy, just never give up. It's not enough anymore. It's not enough. And it's not enough because of the speed and the pace at which the world is changing. It's not enough to I just realized that my name on here says Joran. Joran. Is that what you guys were talking about on the call earlier? Daggone it. Daggone it. My name's Jordan, by the way, not Joran. It's just not enough to give them what maybe we got, and I mean, like, just like the generic, like, life lessons, like the generic financial training. Yeah, man, like, make sure you set aside money for savings. That doesn't work anymore. Make sure you budget well. That doesn't work anymore. Make sure you invest in a 401k. That hasn't worked in a long a time. Not worked a long time. Make sure you invest in the stock market. It doesn't work. It doesn't even outpace inflation. So there's all these things and all of these concepts that maybe you were taught, or certainly your parents were taught, that is not even remotely relevant anymore. It's not even freaking close. But, like, we're teaching, some of you are teaching your kids this. Like, I am trying to, and they're still very young, so I've got a lot to go, a lot of time to go. But I'm very much aware that what I teach them is, it needs to be very, very, very specific, and it needs to be very, very up to date, because I do not want to get to my deathbed. By that time, it'll be like a floating air chamber space coffin. I don't want to get to that point and be like, man, I effed the next generations by not preparing them. I'm not going to regret hardly anything else. I wish I would have spent more time with my toes in the sand. Don't care. And I really wish I would have spent more time painting. Don't give a don't care. Don't care. I wish I would have spent more time this, that. A lot of people use this excuse, and I'm gonna maybe ruffle some feathers here, but that is what I do. And this is coffee with a killer, not coffee with a snowflake. You guys want coffee with a snowflake? I'll change the banner, and we'll do the snowflake, Elsa theme. Some of you guys are using this excuse. Well, Right when I get home, I spend time with my kids. Or, Jordan, I wanted to do XYZ, but, it's soccer season or baseball season or whatever it might be. Here's my offensive statement. Some of you guys might need to skip a couple games and get your stuff in order. Some of you guys might need to skip, maybe a dinner or two here and there and like work on yourself, work on your finances, work on your skill set, work on you getting your household in order. Okay? At the end of the day, now in full disclosure, now I am I'm fully self-employed, so I do get to kind of manage my calendar. At the end of the day, it is more important that your kids understand why you missed dinner or why, you were only able to make it to 90% of their games. It's important to understand why. It's important your spouse understands why. Why are you making this investment? Why did you make this decision? Why were, you home a little bit late? You've been working a little bit more lately. Does she want to pass on generational curses or generational blessing, her or him? They need to understand why. Cider with a snowflake. See, that's a good one. I like that. I take this really seriously, and I think I take it more seriously than maybe a lot of people. Like, guys, I am like deadly. Like, I am dead, dead, very much aware of the very little amount of time I have left and what I'm trying to build. I'm gonna ask you guys something in the chat because there's a lot of you guys in the chat right now. Giving your kids, let's say, $100,000, kind of as you pass the baton. You're phasing out in life; they're phasing in. $100,000. Do you think that makes a difference? But much of a difference. I know there's a lag and there's a delay, so I'm gonna give you guys a second. It used to make a difference. It used to be a big deal. It used to have an impact. Like it's I for what I want to accomplish and for the freedom that I want to provide. And it's not like I want to buy these guys mansions and or like a jet. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about straight up like just financial stability so they can pursue what they were called to pursue versus pursue a freaking job and a paycheck. This is just as much about calling as it is money. Got some no's. Blow it on food, man. That'd be a lot of food, man. Invite me over. That's a heck of a barbecue, my friend. So I just want you guys to take some time, take some time to reflect and say, if it ended soon, not to get morbid. I mean, this is coffee with a killer, so maybe it's a little bit morbid. If you died soon, would you be dying with regret from what you didn't give and teach and impart? A lot of people says, "Well, I'm just going to impart wisdom." You guys ever heard that? Well, when I go, I have imparted wisdom. You guys ever heard that? That's not what they. It's a part of it. That's not what people need. What they need is they need to watch you and follow your lead by example. Okay? Yeah, well, like I imparted good values to them, good strong work ethic. There's a lot of people that work a lot harder than me that don't have any money. There's a lot of people, in part, a good education. A lot of people that are a lot smarter than me that don't make hardly any money. Doctors and lawyers are no longer the standard. Like it used to be like, man, you can make as much as a doctor or a lawyer. That the standard is that is such a low standard now because that is now lower to middle. That's like middle class, lower middle class. They need to impart the leading by example, following your example of creating financial freedom and creating financial opportunities. Period. With that, with that comes the knowledge. It's not curriculum. It's watching. It's learning. It's conversations. It's implemented. I ask you guys a question. Does it mean jack diddle if you don't practice what you preach and you're trying to like give you an example? Let's say that I'm trying to teach real estate and I've never done real estate. I'm like, hey kids, you should buy real estate. You know, this is a good investment. You think they're not thinking like, why don't you have real estate, Dad? Hey man, like you need to practice good risk settings and trading. They see me blow an account every day. Well, why don't you do that, Dad? So this is what I'm talking about when I say it doesn't mean jack diddle. Just telling them, we're just teaching them. Why didn't you do it then? You're leaving me with a pile of debt when you die. It's a financial curse, not a blessing. The debt, death tax, and da 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 da. So when you think about that, if I was to die today, for those of you that have kids, if you don't have kids, it's even better. It's even better. You got more time. If I was to die today, would I regret what I'm leaving them and what I've taught them about getting financially free? Amen. Biblical teaching on this. Yeah, there are. If the actions don't follow the words, no one will trust you. Yeah. That's why being a man in the family is so important. Absolutely. Yeah. Now, this isn't going to happen overnight. Like I don't want you guys to think like, yeah, I'm just going to wake up tomorrow and be a freaking billionaire and like give my kids all this insight and knowledge. This is a process. It's a journey. It's not going to happen overnight. This is something that we build towards. It's something that we work on, something that we strive for. Okay? All right, friends. Coffee with a Killer will be on YouTube moving forward Monday and Friday, 10 a.m. Eastern. Join me on the next ones. I love sharing some of what I have learned over the past 13 plus years. Appreciate you guys. Have a great weekend. Much love. If you guys are not in our community and you want to be, there are links in the bio here on the channel. If you guys ever want to talk about this, don't hesitate to reach out. I'd love to have further conversations about this. Cool. See you guys.